Hi, this is Eva Cartman, host of the Dream Big podcast show, the place to go to learn, laugh, and grow. What did you fail at this week? What if I told you that that's actually a great question? And it is a question that this week's mentor, one of the most successful female CEOs in the world, was asked each and every week by her dad growing up. And she credits this question that her dad would ask her as being one of the primary reasons why she succeeded in achieving her big dreams. Let's find out why. You know what time it is. This is episode 256 of the Dream Big podcast, and it's time to dream big.
My name is Eva Cartman. I'm part of a squad of super kids that are here to change the world. We don't believe you need to be adults to have big goals and start working towards your dreams. We believe age is just a number, and you're never too young to make a difference. We may be young, but we are not naive. We understand that achieving our big dreams will not be easy. It will take incredible dedication, hard work, and yes, massive action. There will be ups and downs, but we embrace the challenges and relish pushing outside of our comfort zone because this is how we grow. They may not teach us these concepts in our school textbooks, but we are smart enough to know that the tools and tactics to achieve our big dreams are out there. And we are willing to do the work to seek out these skills and master them because we know that our future depends on it. We are the big dreamers, and it's time to dream big.
Before we dive into this week's episode, here's Silly Sophia to make us all laugh.
What kind of key opens a banana? A monkey. Hoo-hoo-ha-ha, hoo-hoo-ha-ha. Why was the rabbit happy? Because somebody loved him.
Thank you, Sophia. Before I share how getting out of your comfort zone doesn't have to be so uncomfortable, I wanted to give a shout out to some big dreamers who reviewed the Dream Big podcast. Amelia and Audrey, thank you so much for taking the time to leave a review. Big dreamers, it is getting more and more competitive in iTunes, and reviews really help us stay high in the rankings and reach more people. If you could just take a few seconds to leave a review, I would love to shout you out on the podcast, just like Amelia and Audrey. I plan to pick out a few every week, so please go to dreambigpodcast.com/iTunes to leave your review. Today, we have an episode of Mentor Magic, where I share lessons learned from a mentor that if we implement as young big dreamers, it can help us get to our big dreams so much faster. It's like magic. This week's mentor is Sara Blakely, an inventor and entrepreneur who created the clothing line Spanx. If you don't know what Spanx are, ask your mom, because chances are she knows and it can explain better than I can. In 2012, Sara became the world's youngest female self-made billionaire. But in today's episode, I want to focus on an amazing story I heard her share in an interview that she did with the great Tony Robbins. In the interview, Tony asked her about failure, and Sara shared a story from her childhood. Sara shared, "My dad would encourage me to fail when I was a kid. I would come home from school and he would say, 'What did you fail at this week?' And if I didn't have something I could share, he would actually be disappointed. I didn't realize it at the time, but he was just changing my definition of failure. My definition of failure became not about the outcome, but about not trying. And so for me going through life, what I view as my only failures are when I didn't try because I was scared. My dad would take it a step further and ask me to name something positive that came from the failure. So for example, if I told him I tried out for cheerleading and my audition was horrible, he would say, 'What positive came from the experience?' And I would train my brain to find it. And then when I was not so focused on the outcome, I had failed to make the team, but I met my best friend at cheerleading tryouts." I just love that story from Sara, and I think it's such a brilliant way that her dad came up with to train her brain that failure is not bad. Usually when we hear the word failure, that would be negative, right? But what Sara's dad did by asking her to share her failures was a great practice for life. Because if you are dreaming big and want to achieve your potential, guess what? You are going to fail and fail and fail. because the people that achieved their dreams were willing to step outside of their comfort zone and push themselves. And sometimes you don't get the outcome that you were hoping for. That's part of the journey, right? My guests have been talking about that for years on the podcast. None of my guests had overnight successes. They spent lots of time, often years or even decades, pursuing their dreams with lots of ups and downs along the way. So if you're trying and failing, that's a good thing. That's why Sara's dad would ask her to share her failures, so she would not be embarrassed by them. Instead, her family embraced failure. Now, as Sara mentioned, not trying is a different story. Her dad didn't want her to associate failure with the end result. So if Sara pushed outside of her comfort zone to audition for the cheerleading team and tried her best at the audition, then she can be proud of that effort, even if the result was not what she was hoping for. I also love that Sara's dad asked her to look for the positive, because it isn't fun to get a bad outcome, even if you are trying and have nothing to be ashamed of. But what if you can train your brain to look for positives in those situations? So in Sara's example, she didn't make the cheerleading team, but ended up making a best friend who was also trying out that day. Thank you, Sara, for that wonderful story, and to your dad for that amazing lesson he taught you, and by extension, now all the big dreamers. Start sharing your failures with your parents. As long as you tried, you should feel proud that you stepped outside of your comfort zone, and that will help you train your brain to realize that failure does not have to be embarrassing or something to be ashamed of. Instead, it's just an essential part of the journey towards your big dreams. That's all for today. This is Eva Cartman reminding you that you have unlimited potential. Your dreams are not optional. You need to make them essential. So take massive action to turn those big dreams into reality. Live with passion, the way life was meant to be. I'll see you next episode. Bye.